Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. This episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by Mandalorian Breath Mints. Being trapped in a helmet all day may be unpleasant, but your breath doesn't have to be. So before you walk into a hive of scum and villainy, pop in a Mandalorian Breath Mint. I mean, they got to have high strength for these guys, right?
Yeah, you don't want to knock yourself out.
Right. There's a fine balance. It has to be minty fresh, but yet not overpowering.
But seriously, with the way things are going, all you compassionate mask wearers out there, you need these.
Okay, absolutely.
Well, yeah, and it can't interfere with your targeting systems.
Absolutely. So welcome to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our pal Maximilian behind the glass. Guys, I heard this was not well publicized, but I did watch a video that the Batman coming out in 2022, which we're all eagerly awaiting. They did what is this, Brandon? A focus groups screening?
They did a screening. We don't know exactly who it was for, but most likely it's for executives and focus groups.
Okay, boy, good.
But it's like 3 hours long.
Yeah, and we learned some things. They kept it pretty spoiler free, and but we're following this project with great interest. So we're going to talk about that shortly. Brandon has a I guess this is a controversial opinion. We were talking about off the air, and it's probably going to link a little bit into some Batman projects.
It will, and you can call it controversial, but it's scientific fact.
I feel like it's
oh Lord, he's
Allan agreed with me. Allan's into science. It's a scientific fact. It has to be.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, and you can direct that hate mail to.
It's Cubsitis, is right. You just get these infections in your mind.
Yeah, that's
okay. So we'll put a pin in that because you're going to be you might be triggered by what Brandon has to say later. So, but Allan, before we get to that,
there are no safe spaces at Geek Tank Radio.
No, it's the change of seasons
in
geekdom, and you wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit. Well, when you get to September, there is a different shift.
All right. Well, we are in the convention business more or less. All of us. Right. We've all been to conventions for many, many years. Some of us far too many than we're going to confess.
Yeah. I'd say a lot more than less.
There's a certain one in us that has had as many conventions, if not more than twice as much as me and Joe put together.
Sure.
I'm not telling you who that person is, but
oh yeah.
But let's face it. When the heat finally breaks from summer, that is a geek blessing.
Oh yeah.
We are going into full cosplay season.
You can now safely cosplay without heat stroke.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it, you start seeing glimpses of Halloween. You go to the big box store, you see indications.
All of your goth
on our
friends
subjects for next week, Joe.
Yeah, all of our goth friends are no longer just passing out in the corner from the dark, the dark heat radiating from them.
From their leather trench coats and stuff.
We've had barbecues and everything else this summer. And my goth friends have been Zoom meeting us that way because no,
they're not coming out.
No, they weren't coming out.
Not happening. So, there is a fashion shift of, I think which T-shirt would you swap out to at this point, Brandon?
Okay, so I've got a really, really thick but soft Black Panther T-shirt that I've got.
Oh, okay.
So it's time to throw one of my Friday the 13th shirts out of rotation and bring that back in.
Okay.
I've also got a Super Mario Brothers of the same material.
There you go.
It's like, I have my jerseys from geekyjerseys.com, which they're not paying us, but I'd love them to. And it's like I've got Friday the 13th jerseys. I've got a Grinch jersey, and it's jersey weather.
Well, yeah,
or it's coming into jersey weather.
We're getting there. We're easing on into the holiday season. Of course, we'll have the holiday blockbusters, so everybody can wear their favorite, their favorite character.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Joe and I'm going, wow, he'll swatch from the blue khaki shorts to the khaki shorts.
Right.
Yeah, it takes a while before my change of seasons, Allan. It's got to get well into October.
I think when the snow gets to your knees.
Yeah.
But there are things that you wear that look better with pants versus shorts.
Yeah,
or
I might even wear a cardigan at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention this year. It's like I got those now.
Yeah,
because I'm old.
Absolutely. So, but Allan, I would think too. It's not only just I don't want to say a trigger, but it's like it's a motivation. If you are a cosplayer, you're suddenly thinking, you know what? This full Iron Man suit that I've been wanting to build, I'll finish it up. It's not looking as daunting.
It's
as
not
it would.
so bad now,
right?
You know, it's when it's not 117 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I picture a bunch of cosplayers during the summer trying to build it, looking like Robert Downey Jr. sweating in the first Iron Man movie.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because you're out in that garage going, "I'm dying." Yeah,
yeah.
It's gonna look great.
Yeah, yeah, but I think you're right. That just the change of seasons does it's always a good feeling. You know, I don't know, because it's a time of transition. It kind of makes you think, and of course, you know, for us, let's face it, we're thinking of the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention in November. So it's part of it though too, Brandon. I'm not gonna lie. September triggers. Oh my gosh, we're only 2 months away. We got a lot of work still to do, and it kind of...
I don't know what you're talking about.
That 8 to 10 week countdown starts ticking.
Absolutely. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Well, we're going to change the topic, you guys. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Batman screening for this focus group and the surprising results.
Geek Tank Radio. News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I have to say it. I'm sorry. I have to say that. I love our intros that Maximilian has done for us. But when we only have so many minutes in a segment, you can't do something that's going to make us giggle for 3 of them.
No kidding.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. Keep it up, dude. All right, I dare you to break us up.
Yeah,
I'm looking him dead in the eye and went, I'm daring you. I'm calling you out.
Man, Max just saluted you through the glass. We're going to be so messed up. Our next segment, we're not going to say anything, guys. We just want to get you in.
Yeah, so much for our clean openings. Anyway, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio. Welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and the humorous Maximilian behind the glass, who's He's doing his job. I'll give him that. So, hey, in a minute we're going to talk about Batman. Real quick, I just Brandon, I don't think we announced this on the air. I know we made a Facebook post, but I do want to say, unfortunately, Wayne White, the world-renowned artist from Pee-wee's Playhouse, and he makes the word paintings. Yeah. He was originally scheduled to join us at the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, but the schedules aren't going to line up. It looks like he's not going to be able to make it.
Yeah,
so it happens.
It happens. We're saddened, but we hope that this does not, deter him from, coming to Memphis in a future date that we can all just get together and kind of
you just never
basically
know.
Rock the house.
However, Joel Hodgson, creator of Mystery Science Theater 3000, and Thunder Rosa, the owner of Mission Pro Wrestling, who, Brandon, I don't follow wrestling like you do, but I do follow numbers, and every time I check in on her Facebook or whatever, or just check in online with her, she's blowing up. Well, she's like one of the biggest wrestlers right now.
She is currently signed with one of the greatest wrestling promotions that's ever come up and slapped Vince McMahon in the face. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but AEW is just rocking hardcore right now. And she, in general, is just a really awesome and positive person, and she's amazing in the ring. So
she's apparently got a nice little family. She's just a fun person.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be. You can meet Thunder Rosa. You can meet Joel Hodgson. And of course, we have some tickets left for the private party with Joel Hodgson, which is going to be Friday, November 12th, and it's a great value, $80, and it gives you a 3-day pass to the convention, a free autograph, a free photo op, and attendance to this private party, which only has 120 people.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And one more announcement I want to say, Brandon, is we have 2 vendor booths that just opened up.
Okay.
Which is rare. Normally, we're pretty much booked by May, but if you're a vendor and you want to get in on this, you better call right away. So, or we'll go to MemphisCFC at Gmail and send me a message like uno pronto. That's,
right. It's
and let
what kind of pronto was that again?
We used to say that.
That's one pronto.
Okay. When I lived in San Diego, Allan, we used uno pronto all the time. That was a great.
I was thinking somebody threw a stack of cards at you or something.
But you can learn more about the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, November 12th through 14th at memphiscfc.com. And of course, we'll have a Geek Tank and Tool Talk radio booth well represented there. So, you know, it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know if you can afford my appearance fee there, Joe.
Yeah, good point. Anyway, hey, guys, so news broke, and I was very cautious because I did not want spoilers. And I guess they can't give spoilers for The Batman.
No. See,
because that's
part
like,
of a
you'll go
focus,
to prison for that.
Well,
you mean you don't know that some guy's parents dies and he wears a suit and he beats up bad guys?
Don't speak
Really?
dismissively of Batman here.
Really?
But well, no, they you know,
what about Zorro?
Yeah.
What have we had, you guys? We had one trailer out of this, which we've seen over and over. We have not seen a lot, but we're eagerly awaiting this project, crossing our fingers that this is going to give us the Batman content we've wanted, which is gritty detective, noir.
We wanted gritty noir detective, and we've said so on this show in its various iterations, but I'm a little worried that they may have gone a little overboard the other direction, because what we're hearing out of these focus groups, what they're allowed to say is, this thing might be downright scary.
Oh, one guy called it a horror movie, which in its best form is not I mean, that's...
All right, you finally have my attention, Batman. Well, it only took you 300 years, but it's okay.
I mean, we saw in the trailer, the Riddler is like straight up murdering people. He's duct taping their faces. He's slashing them open with, blades. I'm like going, is this Edward Nygma, or is this, Mr. Zaz?
Right.
And that was just from, seeing that, and it's like,
that did not look like the Riddler to me.
No. It's much more it's very gritty.
Well, I mean,
it's like, we always considered the Riddler to be kind of he's heist driven, and of course, he's impulsive and needs to give clues because he wants to, match wits with Batman. This Riddler is a little darker.
Well, and I'm very curious about the Penguin as well, because the Penguin can be done badly, as we've seen in the past, but the Penguin can be a very interesting character, and the way that Colin Farrell is for one thing, you can't even tell it's him, but he does not look. I mean, he looks pretty psychotic.
It looks with him, they're going the very reputable mob boss Oswald Cobblepot instead of the freakish Danny DeVito-esque Penguin that we got in Batman Returns.
Right. So, well, then talking about one of the things we've talked about in the past is that Bruce Wayne is a psychologically damaged character, and the one thing you get in that trailer, like with the dark eye makeup by when he's taking the mask off or when he's putting his helmet on, he looks pretty. Yeah. He looks pretty deranged, which I like. I personally think that's great.
Let's just throw the honesty in here. Have you ever seen anybody wearing a face mask that wasn't wearing makeup underneath it?
Well, no.
It looks terrible.
Yeah, because their eyes are all lit up.
You look terrible. All right, so for once, they actually took the step of kind of going, all right, well, if you're going to be wearing a black mask, you're going to have to put some soot black or something around your eyes. Otherwise, they're just going to stick out.
And honestly, I'm going to go ahead and just slap the movies around on this. I always thought that was ridiculous. Now, I understand you want to be able to see the actor's eyes. You want them to be able to convey that emotion. It's very rare you get close enough to see their eyes anyway. I've been reading Batman comics for way longer than I probably should admit. But even with today's technology in the comics alone, he's been wearing lenses in that cowl for the past 30 years.
Amen, bro. That's what I want. Give us lenses.
If you can have someone wear aviators on screen, Tom Cruise Top Gun, and not get a reflection of the camera in it, you can give Batman his lenses.
Yeah, I never understood that. It doesn't look. That's the one thing that's always looked off.
That would be like opening up Spider-Man's eyes, where you can just see the eyebrow and everything else, and it's like, yeah, but we're just gonna put some black makeup there. No, just.
Yeah, why is that, you guys? Because he can still convey emotion with his mouth.
Everybody else gets it. Look at the mask. Look at Deadpool.
He doesn't
full
have
mask, and you
showing.
get facial expressions.
And all you get is you see movement under the mask and the cock of the head and body language.
Right. But no, Batman's suit in the movies, it's always, we're going to make it where his neck can't move. And when we finally do make it where his neck can move, the rest of the suit looks like garp. I'm sorry. They've just never given me. I'm going to take that back. Okay. They gave me a good Batman suit. It was in one of the most divisive.
I'm perked
already
up
know
and
the one you
listening.
got.
It is one of the most divisive Batman movies out there. That's Batman versus Superman. You can hate the movie all day long. The suit is gorgeous, and Ben had full range of motion.
Yeah,
He's a good
did,
Batman.
He did move. He could move.
Yeah,
Well-
but you can also argue he may have been a good Batman. But that was not a good Batman movie.
It
Wasn't designed to be.
It wasn't a good Superman movie either.
Wasn't designed
It
to
was
be.
a look at Wonder Woman. She's awesome.
Well,
And then of course they gave her two movies and ruined her in the second one.
well,
I'm not going to get into all that.
well, so Matt Reeves apparently, one thing that got me excited when it was first announced that he was tackling this new movie, The Batman. For one thing, I love the name, The Batman. That's
Right.
what it was called in 1939.
Well, that was
And-
what he was called.
Okay,
It was called Detective Comics, featuring the Batman.
Okay, Mr. Technical. But anyway, the Batman is that's who they referred to.
Right.
And he said from the get-go, he wanted to examine the psychology of what it is. Why would somebody do this? Why would somebody dress up or whatever? And apparently he dives deep into that. But the horror movie aspect, I think, is brilliant. And the crime noir. Like, the big thing is when we get closer to this thing, I really am going to have to just stay off the internet because I don't want somebody ruining the if it's a mystery movie as well, I don't want that ruined.
Well, I really don't see it as much of a mystery. We already know who's doing this. We just don't know why they're doing it.
Well,
Now, if we're supposed to be figuring out why, then it's like
a Sherlock Holmes thing. You don't want it spoiled. You want to be able to
All right.
figure
Well,
it out yourself.
the problem with any Batman is to be a Batman villain. The movies have yet to figure out how to do one.
yeah.
They have managed to
like-
jack up every Batman villain they have touched.
They've never, it's like they've got all the components, and the closest they ever got to giving us Joker was Nicholson. That's the closest
I
we ever
think
got.
he's my favorite actually. And
Yeah.
looking back, I think he really nails.
Every other Joker we've had since has a little facet of what the Joker is, and ignores everything else that makes him the Joker.
Right.
Like Ledger's chaos, but no humor. Leto was too much humor, too much gangster, not enough.
Not enough Joker.
Not enough Joker. Joaquin Phoenix. I'm sorry, I know everybody loves it. It's a horrible movie and it's a horrible characterization.
Whoa! It's a great movie, but it's not a Joker.
No, it's
movie.
not.
No, I will. That's the hill
You
I'll
can
die
on-
on, my friend.
And you
I'm
know what?
you will.
And you know what? I'll kill you with a smiling fish on that hill.
Oh, see, Brandon does like to trigger. He does this. It's purposeful.
Controversy
It's-
creates cash, Joe.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wonder how many people just threw something at the radio on that one. I wasn't
They have
even
to-
going to
they-
talk about that, but that.
I just sold a bunch of new radios.
Okay. All right. Well, the thing is with Batman, there's so much to talk about, and you never really run out of any good things. So we're going to continue our discussion a little bit more, and then later, Brandon's probably going to trigger us again with a controversial statement. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio. Oh, no! News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio.
That's how Joe sounded off the air.
I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our pal Maximilian behind the glass. And if you're just tuning in, Brandon is he's a fan of horror movies, and he's a provocateur. Allan.
Okay, we
he
can go with that.
purposely says things that he knows are going to get on my nerves and that I have to respond to. Just like people do on social media.
I tell you my truly felt opinion, and you feel the need that you have to defend something. But the truth is, you can have your opinion and I can have mine. When we were going to break, I said that that Joker, Joaquin Phoenix's movie, is a horrible movie.
Yeah, which I vehemently disagree.
It is a horrible movie. It is a horrible movie full of well-acted and amazing scenes. This is nothing on Joaquin Phoenix. It's nothing on the director. But there are just certain movies where you go, all right, if I can pick out about 85% of this movie from a former movie, The King of Comedy, then it's no, and you're not calling it a remake, then you are just like, it's like those guys online who mod Tomb Raider games so that she's naked running through the jungle. It's just a different version of the exact same thing.
Okay.
It's a more edgy version of the exact same thing.
I mean, I don't even want to get into that debate. We were minding our own business talking about the focus group screening that they did for the Batman, which is coming out in March. It's not going to be delayed again, right? I mean, it was supposed to be coming out like next month originally, but COVID hit.
If people will be careful and take care of themselves and actually take COVID seriously, it won't get delayed again.
I mean, but the movie's being produced. It's already been shot.
But that's just society. I can't tell you whether or not it's going to be delayed again.
Well, the
movie is ready.
The movie's ready. It's so basically what we've heard. They were trying to be careful about spoilers. It clocks in at like 3 hours, which I don't care. You give me a 6-hour Batman movie, I will sit there. You know
what? I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Right.
I watched a 4-hour edit of a movie I've already seen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can take a 3-hour Batman movie. I will gladly take a 3-hour Batman movie.
But you think it'll be that at the end? They'll probably trim 15 minutes out or something, right?
Well,
I mean, that's kind of what these screenings are all about.
These movies were always cut down in the past because they want to be able to wedge as many in auditorium showings at a theater as they can.
Yeah.
But we've come to realize that, theaters can survive less showings on more screens.
Okay.
And so, I mean, we do see, like, your average superhero movie now is, like, clocking at 2.5 hours. They may trim about 20, 30 minutes off of it, but if they leave it at 3, I don't see it being a problem.
No.
As long as it doesn't drag.
Yeah. We've sat through Lord of the Rings. We've sat through some 3-hour movies, so that's...
I sat through Endgame, and while I loved Endgame all the way through, I sat next to a girl that I had no idea who she was who cried through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I had to go sit through Endgame in theaters again to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's,
Well, I want to make a, maybe this will be controversial to you guys. I don't know. I'm looking at Allan on this. They did say that at this point, the reviewer here said that in his opinion, Zoe Kravitz is the best Catwoman they've seen so far. My controversial statement is I don't even think we've seen a good Catwoman so far, apart from the animated features. They have a lot of good animated videos with that, but Allan, I'm sorry, man. Michelle Pfeiffer's great, but that was a terrible movie in my opinion. They didn't give her anything good to work with. So
all right. Once again, we're going to divorce a scene from the movie. Because I'll be honest, outside of the very first Batman movie, I haven't enjoyed one since.
Wait, what?
They all are terrible.
Okay.
They haven't gotten one right
is today
yet.
Trigger
Trigger
day or what?
What
are you talking about?
No.
Let's stop for a second. Repeat that statement.
Yeah. I have not enjoyed a single Batman movie. All these years I've sat here and listened to you yammer about Batman.
Oh, geez.
Except for the first one.
Now,
I enjoyed
now, when
it.
you say the first one, do you mean the 89 Burton or do you mean the Adam West movie?
All right. I'm going to go with
Adam West. Yeah.
All right. I laughed a lot at Adam West,
okay,
but I was 4. Okay. I'm talking about the big quote unquote franchise building.
Okay.
Uncle
even
Jack
Batman Begins, because that's a good movie.
Even Uncle Jack is going to. All right, here. All right, the one problem we had with all comic book movies up until very recently, I'd say the last 20 years since the MCU, every comic book movie we had before then was a comic book movie,
right?
Complete with comic book titles and comic book intros. And things that made your $30,000, $50,000, or $50 million movie look like you made it for a 4-year-old.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or you have characters so comic booked. There's all right. How am I supposed to be worried about Batman? How am I supposed to be worried? How am I supposed to at any point in this movie have any hint that this character I care about isn't going to make it through the movie?
But why is that your criteria, that they have to live or die? I mean,
no.
He's going to be damaged. He's
I
already
have nothing
damaged.
invested. He's already damaged. Boo hoo hoo. I sound like Rocket now. Everybody's got dead people. Why do you got to go make everybody else dead? Boo hoo hoo. All right. It wasn't until somebody went, wait a minute. It's a grown man trapped in a cave. And we're going to make him actually use his talents We finally had Iron Man after a disastrous attempt to have a Hulk.
Yes.
Because I'm sorry, a gamma-induced poodle is not going to inspire earth-ending fear. If a giant gamma-induced poodle is what takes this world out.
I was going to say, I don't know. Have you ever had to be a groomer for a poodle?
Yes.
It's dangerous.
Yes,
I
know. Man. That's why they make tasers.
Yeah.
This is interesting because I'm listening to Allan's criteria, and
so I'm gonna step away from your criteria for a minute.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the antithesis of no good Catwoman to Joe, because I believe
that's what I'm wanting.
Because
as far as I'm concerned,
Michelle Pfeiffer.
No. Michelle Pfeiffer has some awesome
ballpark character she had little to work
some
with.
Awesome scenes. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny any of the actors and their abilities.
Right.
But Cameron Bicondova from Gotham, watching her grow up as young Selena Kyle into Catwoman. Right. There you go.
Fairness, I never saw that show, so maybe you're right.
You actually might like it.
But she's had 10 years to get this character right.
Right. But she also,
nobody else did.
She also had, people who were moving it forward.
Right.
It's hard to get characterization as important as Selena Kyle's in an hour-and-a-half movie, especially when you're focusing on Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne, Batman, who is trapped between his feelings for Selena and justice.
Right.
Thrown out with the bathwater baby Oswald Cobblepot, who grows into this horrifyingly lascivious demon spawn.
Eating raw fish.
However, horrifyingly played to the point of disgust. By Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito did an amazing job. We've got Christopher Walken's Trump-esque Max Shrek.
Yeah, Christopher Wooden. Christopher Wooden.
And we're gonna say it. It's like, we love Christopher Walken, but he's not a good actor. He has no range.
Spoiler. That was going to be our next segment.
But he has an amazing presence that will immediately demand your attention.
Yes. And if we didn't learn then to quit listening to Trump. Hold on, pump.
All right, before we get too political, I want to say one thing, though, because Brandon, you buried the lead.
But you're right. Batman Returns is not a good movie.
Yeah.
And
we can all agree on that.
But it's still Oscar caliber when compared to Batman and Robin.
Oh.
And I'm not even going to get. I'm not even going to get into
bar.
Batman Forever, because I love Batman Forever, but not because it's a good movie.
Yeah,
it's because I loved the idea of just the full-on crazy neon marketing for a character that fights crime in the shadows.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I love the neon marketing part.
Hey, we're going to move along because Brandon said it. One of the things we like to do here, I guess, is stir the pot. Today we're sure doing it, but Brandon did have his controversial opinion was about Christopher Walker not being a great actor.
Walken. You don't even know his name. How can you defend his acting ability?
I can't read my own handwriting. No, I know Christopher Walken. But hey, real quick before we...
Joe, just let everybody know he works from a script.
Before we move along to that, one good thing, though, that everybody's agreeing on is that Robert Pattinson is doing a good job with the voice. It's not that stupid, that Christian Bale did. It's not a modulator. They like the voice that he's doing.
I'll go to commercial with another controversial topic. I never liked Christian Bale as Batman.
I don't know that that's all controversial. I wouldn't have picked him, honestly, to be honest. But boy, we're really stirring it up.
Our friend David Dastmalchian was the best actor in Dark Knight. I'm just saying it.
Okay. If you've got strong opinions, go to Geek Tank Radio's Facebook page and weigh in, because I feel like we've triggered at least half the audience, and we're going to do our job to trigger all of you when we come back.
Oh yeah. I got a whole bucket.
We're gonna be dipping into the bucket on that one. So I don't know. I guess it's gonna be interesting to see where the chips fall. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
We better not risk another frontal assault. That rabbit's dynamite.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Words of wisdom. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and
You're
our
not
pal
calling us friends
Maximilian
anymore off the air.
behind the glass. Yeah.
And all I got to say is he really had to go change his armor.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny. We get together with our show prep. We have the best laid plans, and one smart remark from Brandon throws a complete wrench into it and changes the whole direction
I think
of the
that
program.
just tells you when it comes to this show, I'm the money.
Yeah, I guess so.
Right.
Well, I
Not
mean,
gonna
you're the social media of this show. So we were going to talk about Batman, which I guess we did, and we'll be following the news of the new Batman movie that's coming out next.
I'm seriously excited for it. I'm not even one of those cautiously optimistic moments. This is like, I want it now. Give me. But I know I can wait.
And they said there's some big drop the mic moments. They said the ending, which I'm just going to have to tune out. I don't want spoilers, but they said the ending, fans are going to love it. So, but we'll weigh in. But in the course of this discussion, we of course had to talk about terrible Batman movies like Batman Returns, which in my opinion is the worst one ever made, even beyond some of the other ones. But
the scene when the Penguin shows up to take Max Shrek Jr.
Yeah.
and Max goes with him instead, and his son goes, "Dad, no!" and it's the guy trying to do his best Christopher Walken impression. My friend Christian does that. Whenever we want to do something he's doesn't agree with, he does that voice. He goes, "But Dad, no!" It's like,
well,
so, I mean,
yeah,
it's a horrible movie, but it has its staying power.
So we started talking about Christopher Walken, and Brandon said, "I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. He's not a good actor." And I was like, "Whoa!" And then you got the wheels. You got me thinking a little.
Right.
So talk to us.
Okay, so there's a lot of actors out there that don't really seem to have range. They seem to be playing themselves no matter what the role is. Christopher Walken is one of those guys, but it doesn't matter because he has this presence about him that he could literally just walk through a room, stand still in the middle of a movie, and the one thing you'll remember after a 2.5 hour movie when you walk out is like, man, so why do you think Christopher Walken just walked through that room?
Right.
You're not talking about the conflict in the movie. You're not talking about how great the actor or actresses did. You are wanting to know what Christopher Walken was there for. And he has a command of performance, appearance. It just certain people have that presence. Now, there are people who are amazing actors, amazing musicians and everything that have that presence. Elvis Presley was one of those guys who had that presence. He just drew your attention no matter what. At the same time, Bruce Campbell, who's he will tell you straight up is one of the worst actors, has that presence as well. And it's a psychological thing about certain people that will draw your attention every time. I think we've got a couple of comments out of the production booth right here.
Would you trigger Max as well?
No, it makes me think of a perfect combination of both commanding presence and acting ability. I'm just thinking of James Spader, man.
Absolutely. James Spader has both the acting chops and that presence where you're just gonna focus on him, and he can do it without even being on screen. Ultron.
I was about to say, and he managed to do it with nothing but the voice.
But he's got a voice, and he's got to deliver. We said that when he was he was on season 8 of The Office. Every minute he's on screen, for whatever reason, you're paying attention to him. I don't see Christopher Walken that way, though.
Look, I don't watch Boston Legal because I like lawyer shows. I watch Boston Legal for that moment at the end of every episode where William Shatner and James Spader are just discussing the show.
Right. Yeah.
Not out of character, as the characters within the show. They discuss what happened in that episode and how it affects things.
Well, I'm gonna give you a movie that proves Brandon's point exactly.
Yeah.
Go dig up an old copy of Mouse Hunt.
Walken was the exterminator.
1997. Here we have got the great Nathan Lane, fresh from Broadway.
Yeah.
In a massive comedy that is basically him versus the ghost of his father as a mouse.
Right. And a cheese factory.
And the cheese factory and the whole thing. And Christopher Walken is a complete parody of every character he has ever played, every movie he has been in to this point.
Okay.
He is a parody of it as the exterminator trying to take out the super mouse.
Let me ask Brandon once again.
Okay.
You and Alan do trigger thought. You trigger my emotions, and you make me think of things. So,
well, we have to make you do that before you leave us for next week.
So here's what I'm thinking about. So
Picture what we're going to do next week.
At first blush, you said Christopher Walken's a terrible actor, which I'm like, okay, Just shut up, Brandon. That's stupid. And then you make me think about something. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm setting aside his goofy movies like that ping pong movie because that's just him having fun and getting a paycheck. But,
I love Balls of Fury though.
Right, but if you
Some of
watch
his
him,
best work.
he is the unsettling. He squints his eyes in a certain way, and you're like, this guy is going to kill me in 30 seconds. But every movie he plays that character. Well, you talked about range. We know actors. Like William Dafoe. He can play a terrible villain, or he can play somebody heroic, like we saw in Platoon or something. Yeah. And so maybe Christopher Walken is stereotyped and pigeonholed because maybe he doesn't have that range.
Well, he never wanted to be an actor. He wanted to be a dancer.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Heard that.
No, it's true.
Have you not seen his music video?
No.
Yeah, I mean, he's admitted that.
I don't think of him as dancing.
But I mean, do you really think that whole more cowbell thing would ever have gotten any kind of traction if Walken wasn't in that scene?
Even that more cowbell thing, I'm like, if he, my thought was, if he doesn't get more cowbell, he's gonna light this place on fire.
Exactly.
Like, so even then, I'm thinking.
All right.
So you might have converted me here.
All right, well, there's certain actors they get trapped in a certain way,
right?
And there are certain actors that find a role that will define them forever. Mm-hmm. I will go back to something, early movies where you saw an actor the very first time.
Okay.
And then you see the actor doing something drastically different later.
Mine is Harrison Ford. I always saw him as this heroic action character, and then when he plays the villain in What Lies Beneath.
Yes.
I mean, he's like a psychotic, evil husband who killed a woman and hid her body in the lake, and it's crazy.
You don't think of him that way.
But that's not where I would ever expect to see Harrison Ford.
Right. So you see these characters, and they are so not what you put them in your head. If you saw Nathan Lane running around singing and dancing, wearing any form of costume known to mankind or none, you wouldn't think anything of it because that's just the character he plays.
Yeah.
I love the birdcage.
Again, you just absolutely insane. Christopher Walken did a couple of war movies.
He also did Kings of New York, which you get the gangster vibe.
He gets very gritty movies too.
But all of those movies had that one thing in common. You had to have that character that had that deeply disturbed, well, now I have to kill everybody in the village look about them.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you go to, and again, I'm going to pick on Mouse Hunt just because I'm just picking on it out of the air because it was one of the ones that
You're also going to go home and watch it.
Yeah.
I watched it a couple of weeks ago. It's the reason it's so fresh. And, here is this incredibly clever and complex comedy. And what do you remember about the movie? You remember Christopher Walken running a chain through a wonderful house to wind up being drug out by a mouse.
Okay,
and it's Christopher Walken.
Wait a minute. Now you're making me rethink my position because, we're calling him, you're saying he's Brandon's statement was he was limited. A bad actor. But
he's limited.
If you're good at one thing, does that make you a bad actor? Right. I mean, I'm just thinking of that Deer Hunter movie.
It makes you good at that one thing.
Joe,
so why does that make you a bad actor, though?
I cannot wait for the day that there is another radio show on going for the love of goodness. How did Allan Gilbreth ever have a career like that? Such a non-talented hack. Please, I'm waiting for that criticism.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so I guess I wonder, just because you can't do every role, does that make you bad?
But when all of your characters are basically the same person put into that thing, you're just you.
It's Nicolas Cage.
Anytime Nicolas Cage tries to act, the movie doesn't work. But when Nicolas Cage plays himself as that character with that position, it's
Nicolas
amazing.
Cage, the airplane pilot. Nicolas Cage, the has pigeons. Nicolas Cage actually has magical powers. Nicolas Cage burst into flames.
That's the reason why The Sorcerer's Apprentice is so good. Is not because Nicolas Cage tries to play, the character. He tries to go, well, what would happen if I was a sorcerer?
Yeah, Nicholas just admitted I have magical powers, so we're going to make a movie at it.
That movie Pig, they're talking about Oscar nominations for that.
Yeah, and it's downright gritty and everything, but Nicolas Cage is still Nicolas Cage in it.
Okay,
he's just what would happen if Nicolas Cage was a truffle farmer.
Well,
and someone stole his truffle pig.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm going to go back to Willy's Wonderland for a truly awful
Horrible
movie.
Yeah.
But Nicolas Cage is
But
like
it's still
superb in
Nicolas
it.
Cage. You're watching it and you're going, it's just Nicolas.
Well, we'd love to hear where you fall in on this. I think we've done our job. We've carpet bombed the entire DCU and everything else. So if you
didn't
have
talk about
strong
Suicide
opinions, okay, get in touch with us at geektankradio@gmail.com. Join Geek Tank Radio on Facebook. Listen to all of our past shows at geektankradio.com. I think there's a theme here emerging. Geek Tank Radio. Just Google us. We're everywhere. And we may be showing up in a festival near
us,
you.
You
So,
weren't looking.
absolutely. Hey, real quick,
We show up like a bad penny in your loafer.
we want to. There's a good chance if you come to the Cooper Young Festival in 2 weeks, you may be seeing us. There'll be updates next week about that.
There's not a good chance we're going to be there, whether we're there or not.
One quick too. We want to welcome. Coming up next is Motormouth Radio. So that's with our buddy Bud, he's a car guy. Him and Ditch, they've created a brand new show.
Oh yeah,
all about cars. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So boy, there's really no reason to turn off the radio.
News Talk 98.9 is just the place to spend your Saturdays.
It's fun.
I mean, your whole week really, but Saturday's the best day.
And big shout out to Ditch. Memphis Morning News is funny. That's that show. That's the most rock and roll news show I've ever heard.
Ditch can find a way to tell me bad news, and I'll still smile.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you're still smiling after this adventure into Geek Tank Radio. But whether you are or not, we have to leave. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
And I'm Helen Gilbreth.
And I'm Brandon Olmsted, challenging you to find the worst actor in your favorite movies.
And now a word from Democritus Bombasticus.
1995, a year that saw terrorism in Tokyo, financial collapse in Mexico, and the release of Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever. To say this film broke convention would be an understatement of Herculean proportions. Replace the noir grit of Gotham City with a cesspool of hackneyed hijinks and stale dialogue, and you get a glimpse of Schumacher's unique iteration of the Cape Crusader. With Val Kilmer as the man behind the Cape and Cal, and a smorgasbord of supervillains such as Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face and Jim Carrey's Riddler, Batman Forever has truly left an indelible impression on comic book history.